Bum, 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 bum. Hey Star Wars fans, it's Dominic Tringali here with another issue of the D. Agostini Build the Millennium Falcon model kit. As I've said, every week there's a small few articles about the Star Wars universe, expanding upon it, what we've read so far, and also some pieces that I can use to build this fantastic model you see on the cover. So each issue past the first was $10.99. I got every 25th issue for me is free, so that's kicking the price that I've paid so far to €289 and 24 cents. So getting, I guess we're going to be over 300 after issue 29. So let's just jump right into this thing. So first thing we talk about finally is the Firespray Pursuit Special. This is Slave 1. They talked about how it was kind of a failure. It was meant for civilian usage, but it was overpowered for civilians and underpowered for militaries. So it kind of didn't sell very well. And so they only made 6 in a production run. So I guess there's only 6 Firespray Pursuits. So that's interesting. Slave 1 obviously has been updated by Jango Fett and his son Boba. They upgraded it quite a bit, and as you know, it has several laser guns, mine launchers, whatnot. I'm hoping to read more about this in the future, because this just talked about a lot of the weapon and hyperdrive improvements they did. Then we go back to the planet Geonosis and talk about the Droid Foundries, where they produced all those droids for the Trade Federation and Techno Union. So talking about the drones actually don't sleep. They just kind of rest in these alcoves. And it's a very dangerous environment, obviously. And apparently this scene wasn't necessarily going to be in the original theatrical release, but George Lucas felt he had to do it. So the actors all came back and started filming on set on the green screen and didn't even know what they were doing exactly. Famously, Natalie Portman couldn't believe George Lucas was making her do this, jumping and ducking, and she didn't even know what the final product was going to look like. That's one of the hard things I think about working with green screens, is you have no idea how it's going to look, but you have to do these actions, so you have to be kind of a better actor than if the things were actually there to sell it. And then we jump into Astromechs, talking about the progenitors to the R2 units, talking about the R1 series and the P1 series and the P2. Yeah, so these were essentially Astromech was a term that came out after these robots kind of hit the market. People started calling them Astromechs, but they weren't necessarily marketed as that originally. It's kind of like picked on. But they obviously are great co-pilots for starfighters. They can do a lot of repairs and can speak directly to the computer, and the actual pilot can focus on piloting while the droid is keeping the ship going. And I would want a droid on board for sure to help me if I was in a starfighter, getting shot at by TIE fighters. So, not a lot necessarily about R2, but oh yeah, and so they talk about this concept sketch where Lucas actually wanted to model the first Star Wars film after Kurosawa's '58 film Hidden Fortress, where it was a samurai story told from the perspective of the farmers. So that's a great film if you haven't seen it before. Here's some variants to the R2 series. Very cool. And then we just jump right into our green section, the build section. So this is issue 28's bag of parts. Let me tear this open and see what a lot of mixed stuff here. So obviously I got this large piece, which is going to be framing, whole piece to go to the framing. Speaking of framing, here's another framing piece. Won't be using either of those today. All I'll be using is this piece right here to complete that passageway I started in the last issue. And I'll be needing that pad, that sprue, to complete these parts right here and close it all up. And of course I get to do another archway. 18 of these little things glue into there, like you've seen me do it before. So let's go ahead and start with that, and then we can move on to the next steps. So I've completed the archway, and I have that sprue from last time, and it's all been mapped out 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I got a grid here that shows me where it goes on this piece. So I'm just going to trip all these off, trim them, and glue them into place, and show you what it looks like when I'm finished. Great. So I have the 2 halves and the 4 pads from that sprue glued into place. I have my archway and I have this ring. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to slide that together. So I've completed the assembly on this passageway. One of my complaints is that this ring is not very secure, and ultimately I'd prefer to put some glue on it, but I'm not going to until I'm sure that I don't need to do anything else to this piece. But this is what it looks like, and now I'll show you what it looks like when attached to the space it's supposed to go. So here it is, all assembled. The passageway that took me 3 issues to put together, the passageway that took me the 2, this passageway that took me 5, and this passageway which took me 4. So yeah, a lot of work here, but let's try to explore this a little bit so you can see all this detail that this thing has in it. I mean, it is really like crawling up inside the Millennium Falcon, you know, and checking this out. So that is it for issue number 28. Join me for issue 29 when it looks like I'll be putting in finally this middle ring and some more framing, so that'll be good. I'll be getting that done. And I guess issue 30 they had said I'm going to be getting another piece of jig, so that makes sense. Question of the day. Let's go to the expanded universe and the canon universe and talk about what is our favorite droid design or droid overall. My personal favorite was IG-88, who was the bounty hunter, a droid bounty hunter. I always thought that was kind of interesting and kind of disgusting at the same time. Guys, check out our other 27 videos that we've done prior to this one, showing how this process is built up over time. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss the next issue next week, and show the channel a little love by hitting that like button. Guys, I'll be seeing you for issue number 29. Take care.